just the two of us that do it all. And sort of oversee, we have somebody running our store, which helps finance the productions. We have a customer service person with a wicked sense of humor, so she can be a customer service person. We have our coder, so somebody sitting at, at that code part of the IT team. And so you were talking about just a handful of women, but Krista and I are sort of the ones overseeing everything and making all these decisions. And so it just feels, I mean, I just learned a software. I know I've been talking about Motorola software. And it's mine. I have it now. But I said, I understand why line producers get paid a lot of money because it's so tedious and boring. It's everything I didn't want to do in my career, is to sit and, because it's a puzzle, and you just have to, I don't have this actor this day, I have this actor that day. I'm taking the script, I'm moving scenes out of it, and I'm creating dissolve so that I can shoot on this location when I have this actor down the road. And you're constantly changing the script but wanting it to be really tight and cohesive, but technically you just have to move these things around. And it's the most boring thing I've ever done. And hours of that, and then Krista sits on a conference call every Sunday with our IT team, talking about the new software and what we can do and what's not working, what is working, and so there are all these. Like, I really consider it the merging of the production end of things and the technical, the IT part of things, the internet, because in television you don't have to deal with that. This is a whole new thing, and we need to be able to deliver in a seamless way in order for this to work. And that's something I brought the IT team on in season 2 because our site was crashing. The site was built wrong, and to this day it was a $42,000 site, and it's broken. It's a broken site.
We're sorry.
That's okay. No, it wasn't. You guys didn't break it. It wasn't built. So when we hired the team to build the site, even they didn't understand what we were trying to accomplish. It has a ceiling on it. It can only do so much, and then it just falls. So the IT team that we put together have to go into the back end of the site, and there's no map, there's no blueprint. So whenever something goes wrong, that's why we had to take down BChat. There's so much, it was causing so many problems that trickled out from there. They have to go in, and they have no map, so they don't know if they go right, the whole thing could fall. If they go left, they have been over it for over a year and a half, going through the back end of the site, creeping along just to make sure that it doesn't crash. So with that on top of production, it's a merging of two completely different concepts to me.
We're totally unique in the fact that most web series are done on YouTube, and we are in complete control. I mean, we have the site, we do our own streaming, we do our own player, we do our own gateway. All of that stuff that you see that YouTube is a multi-billion-dollar company, we handle it internally. So it makes it a much more unique process than, people who, YouTube's great, but people ask questions sometimes when they are emailing us, especially newer people who are just seeing it, and they're like, well, why doesn't it look as good as YouTube? And it's like, well, it's all about gigabytes and streaming and how much it costs and that kind of stuff. And, no matter how hard we try, we're still a small company, so we just don't have the facility. I mean, YouTube's probably got, a building 5 times this size processing its videos.
And I think it looks good.
It looks great.
It looks great.
When you were coming up with concepts for the show, did you have actors in mind? Did you start from there, or did you have a story in mind?
Started with the story, and make-believe characters. And when you're writing the characters, it's just fun to think of an actor. I've been lucky to meet all of these great actors over the last 20 years, and so I know them personally, so I know who they are, and what some of them are just super funny, but you never see that on TV, or have great depth, but they're not given that opportunity on TV, whatever the case may be. And so when I approach them, I'll offer them something that either is feeding to their strengths, or that's something that they really want to do, like I really want a dramatic part. Galen Gary, who works on Days of Our Lives, is the funniest guy in the world, and so he's got some great comedic scenes coming up this season, but also some really emotional stuff, which he never really gets an opportunity to dig into. So they want to come and do these things just sort of to stretch as an actor. But when we sit around, we have actors in mind, and like I had Kim Zimmer in mind for Gloria. She was going to do that. Justin Dees was going to do Doyle. And now, because of scheduling and other things, Bob Wood stepped in and Beth Maitland, and I can't imagine anybody else doing it. It was just I've had such happy casting situations.
Excellent. For some of our, especially new filmmakers and actors, they're very likely to find themselves in the role that you are in now, which is acting and producing or being behind the camera in some other role. How is that different than just being an actor? And not to minimize being an actor.
It's a lot more Red Bull.
It's true. Acting can be a scary thing, but to me, it's just fun. Because I don't have to think about anything else other than creating a character and playing. Producing is a whole different mindset. And I totally failed at being able to take off my producer's hat. I brought Hillary Smith off to the Grove. And the first day of shooting, she was, okay, now you can take your producer's hat off and you can just act. And I'm like, no, I can't. There's no way that I could ever do that because I sit there and I watch everything. I sit there and I just look at everything to make sure that things are moving along and people are happy and, so I can't do it. It's just two different, I often get to a scene and I'm like, oh, shit. I gotta act, and then I love watching actors work, and I'm like this. And then the camera cuts to me, and I'm like, I'm probably the most unprofessional actor on my set.
It's a good problem to have.
I guess. But I just enjoy it so much. I enjoy the process of producing so much that I get into it. It's fun.
Fantastic. I think we'll open it up for a few questions from the audience. Who has a question? Yes, sir.
As a brand new, this is my first year with the festival, my first year doing everything, what do you recommend? How do you recommend somebody that is wanting to do something similar to what you're doing, starting from ground zero and working your way up? What do you recommend we do first?
Do you want to do things on the web, or just in general, do you want to shoot?
It's going to be web, like similar, but the story. I'm a writer, so I'm writing it, but now I realize that I'm going to have to step into that other role, and I've never done anything remotely like that before in my life, and would never know where to start.
Well, you start with the writing, the idea, the writing. I think you just need a team. You need to find people who want to do this with you. And just shoot a scene or two. Just figure out what you want to shoot that tells a little bit of your story, that you can edit it together. And just start there, start small. I would,
See, I never knew that there was this community here locally either. So
And you just need good equipment. I would highly recommend spending the money for good equipment and good camera operators.
And are you here in Central Georgia?
I'm Warner Robbins.
Excellent, that's perfect. We have the Macon Film Commission. It's part of the festival, and there are 5 of us who are all professional filmmakers, and we are happy to help you in any way we can, hooking you up with crew and with resources. There are a lot of resources just up the road in Atlanta. So yeah, just come find us this weekend. Absolutely. Another question? Yes.
Hi, Beth. I'm Sherry Mann Stewart. I am a filmmaker. I've been a professional actor for over 30 years in New York, LA, and now Atlanta. And first of all, more power to you for doing this, and for what I can tell is a lot of women in leadership positions, which I think is great, and also for the diversity of casting that I saw last night. I actually hadn't seen it until last night, so thank you for that opportunity, but just different shapes and sizes and ages of actors, which I really appreciate. I want to know, did you have to go through a transition, an emotional transition, or I guess psychological transition, to sort of take on the top positions? For years, I've been co-producer, associate producer, director. It's just, I find that men may have an easier time just taking on the role and saying, I'm going to do it whether or not I'm prepared, whereas I'm a perfectionist. And it's just hard to get to the point of saying, it's going to be me, the buck stops here. Did you ever have to go through that, or from the beginning you just confident, I can do this and I'll take the time?
No, I wasn't. Like I said, I was ignorant. I didn't know any better. I've often said that had I known how much effort it would really take, I probably would have doubted myself. So it's good that I didn't really understand, but what I was very aware of was that I had to make the decision, and I had to be accountable for everything that went wrong. So it doesn't matter if one of my team makes a mistake, it's my responsibility. And the quality of production is my responsibility. It's all mine. And I really, the difference, I mean, honestly, if you know anything about Susan Flannery, the actress, she's a tough cookie. She's a real tough broad. And she looked at me, she said one day, "You're tough." And I thought, well, thank you. But my point is that there was a lot of, you know, men don't get called bitches. And women do. And I thought I had to embrace the word. I'll be a bitch. I'm a very kind person. I'm a fair person. I treat people well on my set. If you don't show up for work, I'm going to fire you. And not have an issue with it. And, you know, if that makes me a bitch, then that makes me a bitch. I have to take care of my crew. I don't want them to be running around because somebody didn't do something. You know, I'm talking about deliberately. I'm not talking about like they got in a car accident or something like that. But I've had to fire people because they just didn't show up. And it's not a good feeling. It's like, I don't want to fire anybody. It's a terrible feeling. But I have a responsibility not only to my crew, but everyone who's donated money. And that's how I feel about it. So I understand what you're saying. You know what, just grab the bulls by the horn and enjoy the freedom that you have. And just, you know, the best advice I can give is to treat people well and take responsibility. And it's all yours.
Thank you.
Most crews for TV and film productions range from about 50 people to up to 300. What does your crew look like?
About 50.
Probably, yeah. Some days, I think we fluctuate.
It just depends on the size of the cast and what we have to shoot, but we've been about 50, like at the beach and stuff like that.
How is that different from, let's say, the Bold and the Beautiful crew? Do you have more people in some areas and less in others, or have you learned anything from being on the set of a TV series that you've said, you know what, that doesn't really, we don't need that for a web series?
They don't, you know what, the network soaps have cut way back. They don't have that kind of money, and so those departments have dwindled. So the crew on set is probably the same size as my crew, maybe even less some days. So I think we need more people actually, given what we do, because we have to move these cameras from location to location, pull wires and, you know.
Well, it's lighting. I mean, you
Yeah,
know, when
lighting.
you're on a studio,
There's lights are
lights
set.
are set. They're all up there. We're on locations at real restaurants and real apartments and real places, and you're loading in, you're bringing in a 3-ton truck with, you know, lighting equipment, and you're trying to figure out the best way to light the room so that you don't blow out the wall or do something like that. And plus, give these actors this beautiful footage that you see. I mean, it's really amazing. And, you know, the cool part is, well, the amazing part to me is we do that with about 2 and 3 guys. I mean, our
Yeah.
DP is really talented, and, you know, they run in and they do it, and the
They
setups
do it
are-
pretty fast.
Yeah, the setups are long, but, I mean, longer than a studio, but they're not as long as you would think.
Not like a film.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those are big hours.
Do you do many takes, or do you shoot multi-camera or single camera?
3 camera. We do several takes, but not, you know, 5 and 6, nothing like, you know, like a film. Maybe 3.
Most of those takes are for angles.
Yeah.
They're not for, I mean, the actors are,
The actors come in and get it. It really is just for coverage.
yeah.
For a lot of new directors and producers, they're a little bit daunted by approaching an established actor or actress to be in their short films. Do you have any advice about that in terms of like, you know, what